Hi, it's Kirby Summers, and today is January 17th. It is Friday, guys. We made it to the end of the week. And by the way, today my microphone arrives, which means I will be able to start doing my live podcasts. And I again want to thank everyone who showed up at 2:30 in the morning 2 days ago, without my announcing everything or anything, and kind of helping me along. And so, yeah, I'm getting that all set up. So, the reason I wanted to do a podcast today is because people are forgetting that the world was lied to, as it pertains to the ages of the so-called people, let's call them, of non-consent who were involved in the Jeff case. And I wanted to read to you an article about the 12-year-old triplets. You might remember them as being for a very short time in the news. And I'm going to be getting into that. We know that from the Sean Diddy Combs case, there are allegations in civil lawsuits about people who are miniature adults who have not reached that age where they can actually say yes. But pretty much the stuff about like really young children being tricked and lured into this horrific world has remained under the radar as it pertains to what you listen to from, let's say, mainstream media sources. I think in the Jeff case, the youngest that they will talk about is about 14 or 15, but that's about it. I know that I have spoken about the Miller case, another Wexy pal in Canada, where I did mention there was a girl who was as young as 10, and that this activity had gone on for a good 50 to 60 years. So not unlike Jimmy Savile in the UK, this stuff, again, I believe it's all super connected. It's not like this is a one-off here, this is a one-off there. I believe this is all connected and it's part of a much larger, organized, let's say, umbrella that works in this manner. And on my Patreon, I did upload personal correspondence between, meaning I did a podcast, I read some personal correspondence between myself and Bill Hamilton, who, as you know, is the CEO and president of Inslaw and who created Promise. And it was my belief, and I think his too, that the Promise software was used by our government and others to keep track of this unit, intel unit that is in charge of the Black MAIL operations that every country has. Listen to that carefully. So before I get started, I want to thank Katrina K, who for the second time went to my website and made a contribution, which allows me to then keep about 90%, because when you do a super thanks again on this platform, I keep about 50. And I also want to thank Table Tennis One-on-One, a very mysterious name. And all I can get from that is that this person likes table tennis and or is in that profession. And if they have a website they would like me to sort of promote, I'm happy to do so. But table tennis went to my website and also made a contribution, and in fact ordered a copy of additionally, of my memoir, The Billionaire's Woman. So I really want to thank those of you who have taken the time and the trouble to give me a super thanks. It's really appreciated and it keeps me going, literally, because one needs to earn a living. Now, somebody made a comment about joining my Substack. Now, the yearly price lowers the monthly rate substantially. So if you are not a subscribed member, that gives you access to all the articles, and I believe by now there are about 250 of them, really deep dives. And as many of you are now aware, my deep dives are very different than anyone else's. I really go into nooks and crannies where no one else has gone before. Uh, the yearly membership saves you, I think, 30%, if not more. So it brings it down substantially on a monthly level. If you're not a member and you want to do it that way, that's a good way to sort of like maximize what you get and lower the price on my Substack platform. So I'm gonna just, what I did was for my article that I uploaded about, I think 2 or 3 years ago, and again, I've had a newsletter for 5+ years, because I began a newsletter right after our friend Jeff was arrested in 2019, and it's migrated over to Substack, where I have a lot of really cool things, and which I believe some of you have now realized you can activate something that will read it to you if you are driving and or you are busy and you want to hear it almost like a podcast. It will do that for you and read my articles to you the way that I am going to do today here. And so I'm going to begin the 12-year-old triplets. And again, I'm going to probably have to use some code language because this is a very sensitive episode that happened. The 12-year-old triplets arrived in New York from Paris, France, with the promise from their model scout, Jean-Luc Brunel, that they would meet an important man, a man who could help them with their new modeling career. Brunel already had a sordid past as a modeling scout. He was known to fill his apartment with young, fresh-faced, beautiful teenagers, all of whom had dreams of making it big in one of the world's most competitive markets. It was whispered among those who knew him that he would drop a pill into the wine and liquor he plied the trusting girls with, later plunging into their innocence like a knife. And I hope you understand what that means. Then the R word would happen. Then the girls were either passed out or they were too weak to, push him away. I included a photograph of Brunel at Epstein's Island. Now, I want to say that I get very annoyed when I hear people just refer to the island, the island, the island, the island. It wasn't just the island. It took place everywhere. It took place in the New Mexico ranch. It took place in the Parisian apartment. It took place in his, he did have a home in Colorado. It took place in his home in Palm Beach. It took place in New York. Why there is this emphasis on narrowing it to just, oh, who visited the island is beyond me. I mean, stop with the, just stop. It's very simple. Just look up where he owned property and you will know. Moreover, it took place on the planes. It took place in the cars. It took place everywhere. So, okay. But I did include a photograph of Jean-Luc Brunel smiling his ridiculously fake smile, wearing a hat that is spelled ISRAEL, Army. And make of that what you will. Okay, so Brunel's method of finding new talent was to prowl the streets in the poorest neighborhoods throughout different parts of the world, where the children were easy pickings. When he spotted a pretty little girl, he quickly, with a smile, made the acquaintance of her parents. Often it was a single mother or parents on the edge of poverty. Now, I just want to insert here that during the Great Depression, in the United States, I don't think any of you are aware, or maybe one or two of you, I doubt that many people are aware that mothers who could not afford to feed their children would put signs out in front of their, like, their rundown homes, children for sale. And the children during the Depression in the United States would be sold to anyone for whatever purpose. It was a shameful thing, but the mothers had no choice because they could not afford to keep them. Okay, so I'm not, you can do a little history search and you will find that that happened in the United States. Okay, I'm going to get back to this article. So often it was a single mother or parent on the edge of poverty, people who could barely afford to feed themselves, let alone their children. He made outrageous promises of fame and wealth to them. The parents, eager to believe miracles could happen, then handed the smiling stranger their child with the utmost confidence. In other cases, it was more transparent. Jean-Luc Brunel would outright purchase the children from their impoverished and guilt-ridden parents. It was in this manner that he obtained the three girls he planned on sending to his patron, Jay. I'm just going to call him Jay, okay? They were to be his birthday present. Think about it. That's his birthday present. One Brunel knew he would enjoy tremendously. Acquiring girls of any age had become second nature to Brunel, as he was quick to offer his business card and pour on the charm, complimenting each girl on her unique beauty. He paid the children's parents the usual sum of money and added the obligatory promise of a better life for their daughters in the field of modeling. He then obtained their visas in an expedited manner, and the parents, in turn, handed their daughters to the 52-year-old man. Think about that. Here, take my triplets, they're 12, to this 52-year-old man. I can't fathom it, but that's what happened. And apparently, in this case, he purchased them outright. Okay, I'm going to keep going. Keeping Jay happy had become for Brunel a full-time job, one where all it took to make himself indispensable was to supply an endless stream of models in quotes, and to Jay and his friends at his various homes and the island, they jokingly refer to as ORGY Island. The nameless girls were used to fulfill every perverted S fantasy, either with one man or in an ongoing round of ORGIES. The younger girls, these predators knew, were always easier to take advantage of than the older ones. The still awkward-looking little girls giggled and poked each other as they took in the wondrous skyline of New York in the back seat of the black sedan that picked them up at JFK Airport on that frigid January day. In less than 1 hour, they were deposited at an apartment building on East 66th Street. I want to remind you that Wexy also gave Epi other property, including the mansion next door to the one on 71st Street and an apartment building on East 66th Street, which is to present day, sort of under the umbrella of Mark, his brother. They didn't speak a word of English, had never been outside their native France, and did not know they were about to meet the most prolific are in the world. And you can figure out what I'm trying to say here. And then, of course, I included a photograph of the very magnificent mansion that he called home. Jay waited for the girls inside his opulent seven-story mansion on East 71st Street. The easiest way to get them to comply was to trick them, to greet them as he did every other girl that was brought to him, on his massage table, face down and seemingly non-threatening. He had perfected this technique. One of the women would usher, meaning the older women in the home, would usher them into the massage room, and they would be made to feel this was normal. Everyone in the modeling world did this because clearly these girls were new to this world. They thought, oh, well, if this is how it's done, and I'm being ushered into this amazing world, which is, you know, there's a chauffeur, there are butlers, there are maids. I mean, this has to be normal. You second, uh, you doubt yourself. Your initial instinct is can't be normal because it doesn't feel normal. But because everyone is doing things in a way that seems very robotic, like, okay, well, this is normal, then, you're caught along and you go along for the ride, basically. The three girls handed their coats to the butler and followed the blonde woman past the entry foyer, covered with caramel-colored marble tiles, past the gourmet kitchen and dining hall, and up the sweeping staircase that curved onto the second floor. The girls shot nervous glances at each other as they walked down the long hallway covered in a red and gold carpet and walked past a large bronze statue of a bearded goat that looked like a man. They did not recognize it as being Pan, the half goat, half man, mythical Greek god famous for his S powers. Finally, they were led into a dark room where an old man was lying down on a massage table. Come, girls, you have to wash your hands, the woman instructed as she ushered them into the adjoining bathroom. The walls were covered in shiny black marble tiles with a wall-to-wall giant shower stall and a skylight. And by the way, I just want to say that when Wexy purchased this property, he added a top additional floor, and the bathroom, which I showed photos of in my now gone Twitter account, thanks to Elon Musk. I included a photograph of his private bathroom on the top floor that Wexy designed, and it has a large skylight over the bathroom, and then the shower itself, you could have a private party in there. It's that large. So they began to scrub their tiny hands under the hot water. This way, they were told, the coldness of the January day would not shock Jay's body. After they were done with the hand washing ordeal, the blonde dropped rich buttercream onto their outstretched palms. Keep some lotion on your forearms, the woman with the fake smile instructed. This way, Jay won't lose concentration from the massage. The girls listened intently with wide eyes and nodded with every command. Without knowing exactly what they were doing, they began to rub their tiny hands full of lotion onto Jay's feet, his legs, and then his back. His face was turned sideways as he leered at the sisters with a grotesque smile resembling the Joker's grimace. He delighted in the moment to come, the moment of surprise, the moment when he would steal from them their innocence. It was what he relished the most. The blonde woman began to take the children's, what they were wearing, taking them, peeling them off of their little persons. I'm not reading this, I'm just trying to describe it to you. Startled and not knowing what to do, one girl after another allowed this to happen. And then finally, they were completely the way they were born. And I'm just describing because I can't read this to you. The man with the graying hair turned over to watch. He was also in the buff, let's say, and they looked on horrified as he began to do something to the lower portion of where his legs are, right? Okay, you can figure that out. And then he instructed the girl, put a little kiss here, and he began to instruct the one sister. And then Virginia Giuffre, Epstein's best-known victim in court documents, said she was made to watch Jay sink to what she called a profound low with the 12-year-old girls. Remember, they're triplets. She claimed Jay bragged about his birthday gift from Brunel endlessly, that he reveled in repeating a blow-by-blow account of their tiny little hands on his body, and then finishing him off Orally. He gushed into how cute they were and told her you can tell they were really young. And then he describes how you can tell that they were just children, right? And I'm not going to go into that description. Well, a lot of people during the years have asked me what happened to the triplets. And frankly, I do not know if they ever stepped forward to claim any of the money. I do not know if they were unalived at some point, because we do know that many of these uh uh TVIC TVICTIM were made to be disappear. So to present day, no one knows their whereabouts. So I'd like to ask you to please give this a like. It does help the algorithm. And if you have not subscribed, take a moment and do so. Okay, guys, have a good day. Bye.